I'm going to call the meeting to order. And if you could take a minute or two just to review the minutes. And then I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from June 14, 2022. If you aren't speaking, if you could mute, that would be really helpful. And if you're calling in from a phone, I think you mute with either star or #6. I think there's someone who may be Leydi. I don't want to mess it up. You need to mute your phone or your computer. All right, is there a motion regarding the minutes from the June 14th, 2022 meeting?
Motion to approve minutes.
Is there a second?
Second. I'll second. Go ahead.
And that was Ms. Horatio that seconded. All righty. So y'all give me a little feedback. How do you think the committee meetings went? Last month we took a break and gave each of the committees an opportunity to meet the development committee and what I call the advocacy committee. How do y'all think that structure is working for us?
I thought we had good discussion, and it was pointed on to what we can do and what we think we can do. And I think the format was good, combining the groups, if you will, into two groups makes sense and gives us a clear path forward.
Good. Any other input? I just want to make sure every now and again you got to just keep touching in to check the pulse and make sure we feel comfortable that we're going in the right direction. Anybody else have a comment? It's okay to say something negative too, or constructive, not negative, something constructive as well. All righty. Well, I thought it went well for both of them. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to read over the goals. Erica has put this list together for first with the development committee. And I do want to make sure that we take some time to make sure these are written well, or if y'all think they need some rewording, once I go through them, let me know. But the 5 things that they identified were capital for development. And I may have to just put cash, I don't want to say cash money, but funding maybe, something so that we know we're talking about specifically funding in parentheses. City property, I have added city property potentially available. And then market analysis, I've added for the greatest need. And I think it was Ward who said that there is a study that's going on now that we may be able to use, so we won't have to take on that ourselves. The next one was zoning challenges, mixed use corridors, maximum parking requirements, and placement. Number 3, taxes and fees or offer incentives. And I think that would be 2 developers. for more multi and single family revitalization, renovation projects. And then one that really, I mean, all of these are good, but I was touched by the capacity building for churches, because there are a lot of churches out here who are land banking, but they don't know how to develop the properties. So does anyone from the development committee have any suggested changes or rewording of the 5 goals?
I think parking requirements is actually minimum requirements.
Okay, I was thinking that. Actually, let's put minimum and maximum. Yeah, maximum. Yeah. How about parking requirements? Okay. Any other changes that anyone sees?
Could I suggest for capacity building for churches, changing that to capacity building for faith-based organizations?
Okay. Anybody
Because
have any strong feeling?
As they land bank, they're actually creating separate nonprofits. So it's technically not.
Yeah,
church.
that's true. It's the CDCs that they have, or nonprofits that are developing faith-based organizations. Anybody have any strong heartburn one way or the other on that? I like that one. So those 5 look good to you all for the development committee goals?
Yeah, the number one, market analysis, 1B,
Yes.
what would be included in that? I mean,
Well,
the idea is capital, where do we get money to pay for this? I guess I'm not seeing clarity in market analysis.
Well, the market analysis, and I added for greatest need, because if we do get the capital, then where should it go?
Yeah.
Because at some point we'll have to, and it doesn't, I think factors could be in that, where the greatest need is, to help determine where the funding will go. Does that make sense?
Under market analysis, you're including where the money would go and where the money would come from. Is that what I'm reading into?
Under funding, we want to consider the market needs, but we won't be doing the market analysis. There's another group, and I don't know the name of them. They're currently working on one, so we should be able to use that. But so let's say, for instance, if we have plenty of 80% AMI, but we don't have enough 30% AMI, it helps us to then prioritize the funding needs.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Should I word it differently?
That makes sense. Although I don't see where we're talking about where this capital comes from in the overview.
We don't. That's what we're going to figure out.
Okay.
That's true. And I think what I'm going to do is say use market analysis to determine greatest needs.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for clarity? Questions for clarity are good, because it usually means we aren't saying it the right way. Or we could say it better.
I'm not part of that meeting, but I think I heard you say that the taxes and fees were going to get transferred to a distinct city committee that was already looking at that.
Yes, and so it came up again with that committee, and maybe I should switch it around, because we do want to keep a pulse on what that other committee is doing. So maybe I'll switch this and say fees and incentives that we can offer And I will tell you too, I'm glad you brought that question up because I did have a council person to say, why aren't taxes a part, the first thing you're talking about? So I think I'm gonna switch that around. And that's a good point. That's a good point. I think it's also more or less just to make sure, because of the response that I got, so that people also know that we understand it is an issue, but we're not taking it on as our issue. Is that fair? Because I did get some calls. Why aren't y'all talking about taxes? But that's very good. Anything else? All righty. Nothing more with the Development Committee. Let's move on to 3, the overview of accessibility and affordability committee goals. Is that what we call the committee? I thought it was advocacy. I always refer to it as advocacy. We have number 1, develop an education campaign. Number 2, educate landlords on the importance of safe housing. Number 3, partner with fair housing campaigns to educate tenants. I'm sorry, that was number 3. Number 4, create a housing directory. And then number 5, establish a housing court. Any input, changes, questions about those? I think that I want to, go ahead.
This is Sue. I was just going to say, I do think it is advocacy and not, the name of the committee has been misnamed. It's accessibility and advocacy. Affordability is the overall goal of the full task force.
I got you. So I'm going to make sure we refer to it as Advocacy Committee. And I think under number 1, it's important to put NIMBY because people may not quite understand that. Does anybody from that committee have any questions or think we can make any of those any clearer? I think under number 3, I'm going to put partner with City of Columbia Fair Housing Campaign to educate tenants. Be very specific.
Councilwoman Herbert, I think that you could also under 4, as in a housing directory, state housing also has an intensive housing directory on any units that they help fund. So again, it's not creating from scratch. That would be in partnership with SC State Housing, as opposed to.
Well, no, so you actually raised a very good issue because I think that when we were having the discussions, I think we were talking about the various housing providers. So okay. Our language needs to be a little better. And then we also need to consider what you're saying. And we'll keep it with the committee, but so state housing has what's the project?
So state housing, any project funded through any of their money they have an extensive, they serve as kind of that hub.
Right.
If you go online. Kind of like
Yeah.
market analysis, not reinventing the wheel. So it would almost be, instead of creating a housing directory, is it more of a creating the resource page that shoots people off to the different directories? Again, it's wordsmithing on a.
No, I definitely agree with that. When we were discussing the housing directory, it seems as if Dylan may have been the one that raised the question about not knowing what some of the other agencies are doing. And I, mentioned our landlord outreach that we've done previously, and he said, okay, that's a prime example. So I think that's how it came about.
That's right. Thank you I need some brain work. Thank you for the brain power. That's exactly it. The discussion was that of all the agencies and groups that we have here, a lot of times we don't know what each other, the different programs or seminars or opportunities that we each have. And this would be somewhat of a directory of agencies and what they have to offer. Thank you, Ms. Bean. Thank you. Does that make Ms. Lala?
It does. I was thinking more of this is where I go if I need to find housing, as opposed to this is where I go to find out what Mercy does.
Dylan says, thank you. I couldn't remember. All right. So, but that also means we need to reword that because we need to make it.
Right.
Housing resource. Guide. And I will tell you that the city actually has one that they've started, and we'll send it out to you all. It needs to be updated, I think. So that may not be anything that we have to start from scratch on. But I think that was the...
Excuse me, Councilman Herbert. There's also the searchable directory at c211.org that has all that listed as well. I'll put it in the chat for everybody. And they also have some specialized resources for eviction prevention, things like that. So,
okay. Well, and so that is the other part of this, the wonderful thing about this. It may be that once the committee does a deep dive into it, we know that something is needed. Maybe it's more or less looking at what's currently out there. And is there one that we need to push everyone to? So I think that's the beauty of the committee work, is that you all can decide exactly what's needed. And then we have, for number 5, establish a housing court. And I'm assuming that, go ahead.
Hey, so I just wanted to lift up, as I'm listening and kind of processing, the resources that are available and where we can post them and where the lists are and things. I just think about I'll just use Richland County's website as an example. When you go on there, it feels like you have to kind of dig for any resources. So I'd love for us to explore more just technologically friendly ways to get these resources to the end users. I'm thinking about, people who are maybe at risk for being houseless or something like that. They're relying a lot on their phones. And if they're, able to, use an app or something like that, that helps them with other resources that they may be utilizing, like social services or something like that. How can we think about the user end experience of this information? Because it can be out there and very available and Googleable, if that's a word. But if we're not really thinking about the people who are using these resources, then it might as well be, under a stack of papers in my basement.
Well, no, I agree because that sounds like me that you're talking about. And so I don't mind telling people I am not super savvy. I can make it through. But if I have to click too many buttons, sometimes I tend to disengage and I have to get someone in my household. So I'm very sympathetic to folks who don't, a lot of folks don't necessarily have to use the technology every single day. I do, but I'm still not good at it. And so we have to keep them in mind. So that's a very good point. And I think I'm making a note of it because I think that the committee can look at how they want to address that issue. And we want something useful. So whatever is going to be the most useful and effective, I'm all about making sure that we're focusing on things that will be effective, that people can use, and we can get the word out. All right, and then the last one is establish a housing court. Any questions on that? All right, so next we have on our, Gloria did put the resource guide that the city has in the chat. I saw that come up. Thank you, Ms. Gloria. So you all can get that. I dare not try to do it. Number 4.
Herbert, I'm sorry. If we could, number 2, I'm just wondering if we should perhaps add the word maintaining before safe housing, because it seems, as I recall, when we were discussing this, we were talking about slumlords and landlords not taking care of their properties. So educate landlords on the importance of maintaining safe housing, to me, would be a little more appropriate.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Because it may be safe when they purchase it and when they first rent it out, but 5 years later.
That's right.
That's a very, very good point. And, and we really have to educate folks. What I have learned, too, is a lot of times people don't really anticipate the cost of what it's going to take to keep up these properties. And so anyway, I've run into a lot of that. It's not that they necessarily wouldn't do it, but they really don't have the money to do it. So maybe we can work on some city resources on that end. No, I like that. That's a good one. All right. So under all hearts and minds clear under the Advocacy Committee. All right. So under number 4, I had nomination of committee chairs. I'm going to change that. I'm going to take the pressure off. But I do need one person from the Development Committee and one person from the Advocacy Committee to simply take the responsibility of making sure that the committees meet. That's not necessarily the chairperson, but because you all can decide who you want to be chairs or co-chairs, how that works. But if I could have one person on each committee that would take the responsibility of making sure meetings are scheduled, and everyone knows that. So can I get a volunteer to work with Erica to make sure that the Development Committee continues to meet? And we'll get into meeting schedules in a bit, but I do need one person.
I'm happy to volunteer. My emails must have crisscrossed because I didn't get put on either committee, and I apologize. So I'm happy to volunteer to do that for the Development Committee.
I thought you
said I would do both or either. So that's why I was like, I don't know what. Yeah, so we're good. But I'm happy to help with the development in that role.
But no, I was going to say, you sent me a text the morning of one of the meetings saying that you weren't going to be able to make it.
I think I thought that was this one because I was all confused until I just saw this. So I'm like, anyway.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lana.
You're welcome.
What better way to make sure you're there than to arrange the meeting? And then what about for the Advocacy Committee? I just need one volunteer just to make sure to work with Erica. Dylan, thank you, Dylan. Dylan Gunnels. And again, that doesn't mean chairing the committee, but at least making sure that you all have a committee meeting scheduled and on the books. Can y'all let me know? I saw that Ms. Saeed was here. Are community development folks here to do their part? Because I can go to future meeting dates if I need to.
Yes, ma'am, I am here.
All right, and is Miss Gentry here? Thank you, Pam. Is Miss Gentry here as well?
She's still making here. Oh, there she is. Okay, I was getting ready to speak for you, Missy.
And I know that, so everyone, they just got out of a meeting that was running a little bit behind, and I will let you two decide. I don't know who's ready to go right now and who needs a few minutes, but I'll let y'all choose.
So Gloria, if you're ready, your presentation's a little bit longer. I'll just have one slide. So if you want to go ahead and talk about the loan programs, that would be great.
I certainly can.
Okay, and just so, yeah, this is item number 6. One of the things that I wanted to make sure, and you all may have done it last year, but just to make sure you understand the programs that we do have and what's available from the city, and what we're doing right now in the affordable housing space. And so Ms. Gloria is our Community Development Director, and I am going to turn it over to you, Ms. Gloria.
Thank you, Councilwoman Herbert, Chairwoman Herbert. I'm trying to share my screen now. Can you all see the screen?
I'm going to add PR or someone to give you hosting abilities.
Oh,
do you have hosting abilities?
Not sure.
Can someone give Gloria host sharing ability?
Lady may have the PowerPoint, so she may be able to pull it up.
I know who can't pull it up for y'all.
Hey, I see it on my end, and it has the red border, but apparently you guys aren't seeing it. So, I selected share.
Do you have 2 screens up? Do you have 2 monitors?
I do.
Might need to just move it over to the other monitor. You click share and you selected the PowerPoint. Is still on?
Hold on, let me pull my PowerPoint up again. I think I inadvertently closed it out, so let me pull it up again. Kind of like Tina a little bit there, Councilwoman Herbert. Just bear with me here.
Look, it's no problem. And you see that all that I can do to help is just ask other people to help. So I totally get it. Y'all give us a few seconds, a minute.
Let me pull this back over to my main screen. Select share. All right. Still not cooperating for me.
Do you want to?
So Erica, can Lady or someone on your end pull it up? So I don't get too discombobulated here.
Yes, ma'am. I can try. Give me 1 second.
Thank you so much.
And I'm happy, again, Councilman Herbert, I have one slide, so if we want to bring it up while they're
Yeah,
getting
that,
another one ready, let me try to share my screen real quick.
yeah, whoever can get it up, get the screen up quickly. Okay.
So do
So
y'all
we'll-
see the slide with the affordable housing projects?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm gonna ask, Krista may be able to help with this, but, Councilwoman Herbert asked us to show a list of affordable housing projects that we're aware of that are somewhere in the process that, through permitting or construction. So Krista was able to pull this list of everything planned or permitted in 22-23. So, it's 2,214 units, which will be great when all of these come online. So we just wanted to pull these up. The city is very supportive of these projects. We do have some funding committed to 3 of the projects as well. So we're excited to see those moving forward. Those are projects that we're applying for state housing support as well. So if you have any questions, we can certainly walk through these. We can plan on keeping a running list so we can, in the coming months, can maybe report on what the status of various projects are as well. But if you have questions, we'll be glad to answer any of them. I'm gonna need Krista to help me with some of that though.
Yeah, and some of these are just that have come to Planning Commission, and we haven't seen any, and this is Christy here, pardon me, we haven't seen any additional movement or activity on them, but they at least went through the entitlement process at our Planning Commission.
Well, I know that Garden Lakes started because I've gotten a ton of calls. So that one has definitely started. Miss Gentry, can you tell us which ones the city has some financial stake in and kind of explain what that looks like?
Absolutely. So actually I have 4 because I see Homes for Hope on the list as well. We do have CDBG dollars in the Homes for Hope project, and that's the project off of Edisto Court. I believe those are open and occupied. So that's a great project. That's a new addition to Columbia. We also have committed funds to the villages of Congaree Point, Midtown at Bull Street, and the Stone Ridge Senior Village. And all of those projects were going after state affordable housing credits. And in order to secure those, funding commitment from the city was beneficial to the process. So we have not paid any money yet for those projects, but we have commitments that range. I mean, the total commitment per project is $500,000. Some of that is hard cash, and some of that is some credits in recognition for sustainable amenities. So it differs based on the project, but total we have $500,000 commitment to each one of those projects.
And the $500,000, is that the standard number, or each of these deals worked out that way that was the amount that was needed?
The year that we committed, we were committing to all 3 simultaneous and decided to commit the same amount. Now it's a different amount what breaks out between cash and credits, but yeah, the total commitment per project was equivalent.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about this list and what we know is coming on board? Well, people who have gone through the planning process that we know of 2022 and 2023. All right.
Within the AMI that each one, what percentage AMI each project has?
We don't
Some
have
are.
that information for all of them, regrettably. So I don't know that they all actually know necessarily. So we did report the ones that we did have, but we'll look to get that additional information. I do think it's useful.
Yes, I do agree.
Councilwoman Herbert, I can tell you that Tier 2 applications for state housing, small rental development are due August 31st. So any anyone who is submitting for that funding will probably know within, depending on state housing's timeline, within the next 3 months, the next page of projects and funding. And that usually includes Housing Trust Fund, and that includes a mix of 30%.
Okay, that's good to know. And I think that Jeff just filled in the blanks on Village at Lee Court. That's going to be 60% AMI. All right, and so we'll continue to work. I think it's kind of important for us to just monitor the status and, what's moving, what's not. One example I'm thinking about too is, for instance, when the Housing Authority has an issue and they can't get the bonds, we want to monitor those issues and how that impacts what they're going to be bringing on board. Any other questions? Because now we'll go to Ms. Gloria Saeed in Community Development.
Okay, thank you all. Lady says she's got that PowerPoint available.
Yes.
All right. Well, I hope everyone is doing well this morning. I'm excited about the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what the City of Columbia, through community development, is doing in regards to our federal funding primarily, but also we have general fund dollars that we use as well. So our next slide, thank you, housing opportunities. So the purpose of our dollars that we use for housing opportunities is to provide attractive financing for home ownership via our loan programs. So the City of Columbia over the years has successfully run affordable loan programs for individuals who earn 80% or below the AMI. And then we also have programs for individuals who earn above 80% AMI. The way the programs are structured currently is that they would go up to 150% of the area AMI. But I will put out there for everyone to know that we are currently looking at those programs in regards to restructuring those programs to where we're mainly focusing on individuals whose income is between 81% and up to 120% AMI. So we consider that to be our workforce housing segment of the community. We believe that anyone over 120% can likely go to the bank and get financing, but we are looking at reconstructing those programs to where we're still servicing those below 80% and up to 120% AMI. So our programs consist of low interest rates. We provide soft seconds, low down payments, and we'll go over a little bit of that in the next slide or two. And then we also structure our programs with the soft seconds so that there's no private mortgage insurance required. We all know that that's an affordability issue. If there's no private mortgage insurance, that means you have a much lower mortgage payment in regards to affordability. We also provide forgivable grants over a certain period of time to assist homeowners for home maintenance and repair. Currently, we call that our Maintenance Assistance Program. That's our MAP program. That program is very popular. The individuals who mainly use those programs are our seniors and individuals with disabilities. But again, that's another program that we are looking at restructuring as well.
Gloria,
you can go back to the second slide again.
I had a quick question about the MAP program. That is intended for the residents, or is that, are landlords using that?
That's for homeowners. It is not for landlords.
Okay.
So currently, we do not have any programs where we are assisting landlords.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I was clear.
We did try that in the past, but that program didn't work too well. So the programs that we are focusing on are the ones that are mostly utilized by individuals. And as I stated earlier, the MAP program is one that's used quite a bit. Can we go back to the slide titled Housing Opportunities Funding Sources? Thank you. One of the other things that we also provide, I know Missy mentioned earlier the Homes of Hope project. We also provide gap funding, capital for affordable and workforce housing development projects. Those projects can be those projects that are produced by nonprofit organizations or for-profit developers. So we look at serving both. They could either be for rental, single-family housing rental, single-family housing for sale, or multifamily rental. The most recent project that we funded was Homes of Hope, which is in the Edisto community, and we did use home dollars for that particular project. The City of Columbia runs a very robust revolving loan program that has been underway for almost 40 years, for a very long time. And so for CDBG, our revolving loan program, we provide a lot of home loans using that funds for individuals who are at 80% or below the area AMI. We also have a revolving, or we call it program income fund for our home dollars as well. We've been lending those for years. And we also have a general fund revolving loan fund that we manage. And the thing that's really good about having a program income or revolving loan fund funds available is that it creates sustainability. So over the years, as we loan those dollars out and individuals pay us back, then we can continue using those dollars to assist others who are in the market for home ownership or for funding any of our rental projects. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, thank you. So here's a snapshot of the programs that we are currently offering. We have our City Lender One Uplift program. The down payment is only $500. The maximum loan amount is $162,000 for existing houses and $274,000 for new construction. We recently increased that based on the market and the increase in housing cost. And this time around, we based that on the FHA limits. And so currently they are at $162,000 for existing and $274,000 for new construction. And we thought it would be a good idea to be more in alignment with that. So we do provide, as I mentioned earlier, a soft second at 20% of the sales price. And in those instances where it's needed, we can also provide up to $3,500 in closing cost assistance based on need. And that is also forgivable over a 3-year period. So we do work very hard to remain competitive in our efforts to assist individuals who are ready for home ownership. And we have partner banks who help us do that. And I can let you all know at the end of the slide who our partner banks are. We also provide a affordable housing loan that is down $500 down payment as well. with the same limits of 162 for existing and 274,000 for new construction. This is on a referral basis only. The reason we have this one set up this way is oftentimes the city may end up on occasion with the foreclosure. And when we see our houses back as a foreclosure, we do work to assist those individuals with more attractive financing with an affordable housing loan. We do 100% of the financing. Recently, we also utilize the funds to provide financing for individual and individual who actually came to us from the Housing Authority with a voucher. So we do try to be very creative when it comes to affordability. There are a lot of different programs that you're able to oftentimes use along with our financing to make sure that we can do everything we can to help an individual get the lowest payment possible as it relates to a mortgage. And already mentioned the maintenance assistance program. The maximum for that is $20,000. And as I stated before, that is a grant. This program we are currently looking at, well, how would I put it? This program is very popular. We do plan on keeping it. We're going to call it something else. But the city, we're currently looking to add to our loan or our programs that we offer the public, because we found that the number of calls that we receive for assistance with home repairs, the $20,000 MAP program, we've had to turn a lot of people away. And we believe that's not a good thing to do if we're trying to help people who currently own their own homes remain in their homes. So we are looking at coming up with several different programs to assist people who may have a need at various levels. So what that means is if you look at, we're looking at a program to provide assistance for simply weatherization, a program that will assist people who simply need major system repair replacement, like perhaps heating and air unit, or maybe they just need a new roof. So we want to provide assistance for people in that regard. And then we'll also have a minor repair program that will be capped up to $50,000 as opposed to the $20,000. We believe we'll be able to help more people in that instance. And also we're looking at a major repair program that would go up even higher than that. So one of the things that we've learned through our work with our disaster recovery program is that you have a lot of people with a lot of need. So we know that, I'm sorry.
Someone just needs to mute. I don't think anyone's talking.
Okay. Okay. And we're also looking at adding a rebuild program as well as a trade-up program. These are things that are still currently under review. Councilwoman Herbert, once we've done all our due diligence and we've come up with the policies and procedures, I'm sure that we can bring this back to the Affordable Housing Task Force meeting, as well as the Economic and Community Development Committee meeting, because I know that these are programs that I believe council will be very interested in hearing about and seeing how these programs can further assist our citizens in the community. We also have a City Lender 2 program and an employee loan program. Those are funded through our General Fund Revolving Loan Fund. And as I mentioned earlier, we have programs to assist people who are at 80% or below the AMI, but these two programs can assist people who are over the 80% AMI. Currently, as I stated, they go up to 150% of the area median income, but we are looking at changing that cap to where it will assist people up to 120% AMI. Next slide, please.
And Gloria, we have about 6 more minutes, so.
I'm almost done.
Okay. Look, I just want to make sure you get to everything you want to get to.
Yes, that's why I try not to have too many slides. But many of you may know a lot of times this is the chart that we use when we look at the income limits based on the household, and they did go up recently. We're currently looking at for 80% for one person household, they have an income cap of $45,150 annually. So that's a good thing. Knowing that housing cost has gone up, then the affordability in terms of income qualifications has increased as well. But I left that there. I wanted to include that just for everybody's information. So that's the chart that we currently use. We do have, on the next slide, we do have some loan program underwriting guidelines that we use that can vary based on whether or not it's a city lender one or affordable housing program. If you're using that, we do require that the individual receives housing counseling through a certified counseling agency. Also, you cannot own another house at the time of closing if you're going to use our program. And it also must be owner occupied as long as the city holds the mortgage. Our minimum credit score is 600. Qualification ratios are 33 over 43. And other qualification criteria may apply depending on who our partner lender is. We currently have 7 partner lenders. They include Assurance Mortgage, First Citizens Bank, First Community Bank, Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union, Security Federal Bank, South State Bank, and Synovus Bank. And they're all great institutions who work with us to make sure that we can provide the best rate possible for any borrowers who come through our program. Next slide, please. That is our staff information in the event that anyone wants to refer individuals to our office that's interested in home ownership. I would also like to add before I end and ask if there are any questions, is that we are currently working on a home NOFA. We've been working on it for a while, but we're very close to getting it released. Our anticipated date of release is August 22nd. The home NOFA will cover, we're looking for projects that are either multifamily rental, single-family home ownership, or even single-family rental. We're just looking for those projects that will provide a good mix of what's needed in the city of Columbia right now. And I'm anticipating that the NOFA amount would be somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million. I'm still fine-tuning that right now and checking our numbers. But again, I want you all to look for that to hit the streets around around August 22nd. So I know that was a lot of information and I went really fast, but if there are any questions, if there's time, Councilwoman Herbert, I'm here to answer.
Absolutely time for questions. Anybody have any questions? No questions? And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Councilwoman Herbert. I do have just one question, and that is, would Ms. Saeed mind sharing her presentation with the group?
Absolutely. I'll send it your way.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Herbert would like a copy too. All right. Thank you, Gloria, and I'm sorry. Thank you, Ms. Saeed and Ms. Gentry. I just want to make sure, that folks do know what we are constantly working on here at the city. And hopefully with this committee, we can broaden the impact that we can have. And that actually gets us to our last item, which is future meeting dates. And I need your input on whether or not, so this last time we took a month to do committee meetings and then came back a month later to do just the full meeting. Do you all like that format, or do you think we can handle meeting as an entire group, as an entire task force every month and committee meetings in between? And I'm saying that I'm asking because I'm concerned about your availability and commitment time. And Ms. Horatio asked if we could meet in person. Ms. Horatio, we did discuss that earlier when we started meeting, and the consensus was that we would continue to meet via Zoom and maybe have one or two in-person meetings, so we can see and talk to everybody. Does anybody have any recommendations on having monthly full task force meetings or going to bi-monthly to allow the committees to meet in the interim?
I think the bi-monthly format works. It allows the different committees to develop the plan and then to come back and say, okay, here's where we're at. Here's our action plan for the next 2 months, 3 months.
I see Mr. I'm sorry, I was just saying I see Mr. Varner is here and he agrees with the bi-monthly too. Yeah, because I understand everyone's volunteering their time, and I understand that it's a time commitment, so I just don't want to be overwhelming. And a month goes by really, really fast. So with that being said, I haven't heard any opposition. Yes, as long as you're actively working throughout that time period. Dylan is making sure everyone is actively working. So I am going to, Dylan Gunnels and Lila Anna, they're going to work with the committees to get a date set for your meetings in September. And I will see you all in October. Is that how that works? All righty. And if I can attend your meetings, I will attend your meetings. Anybody else have anything before we adjourn? We're just a few minutes over, but I think we put a lot of information. All hearts and minds clear? All right. Is there a motion to adjourn from anybody? Anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Hi, Sue. All right. You all have a great day. Thank you so much. And I will see you all next time.